Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome in. It's episode 5, I believe, of Tim Talks podcast, and we're getting to that stage where I wouldn't say point of no return, but we're getting to that stage where it's becoming serious now. The real deal, shall we say, the real McCoy, because we're getting into that sort of more episodes territory. But anyways, we'll focus on the present because today I'm going to talk about a few things, two different things. First off, I wanted to talk about Breaking Bad. Just finished it for the second time there. I was trying to think there, where does it rank among my favourite shows of all time? And I feel it's pretty high up on that list. Probably just behind The Office, the US one. And yeah, it was a brilliant show. Just really gripping from start to finish. I would say I was waning off there towards the end, but first 3 seasons are just amazing. 4th season, good. 5th season, pretty good. Like The Office, I don't think any of the seasons are bad per se, but the initial just excitement of, what's secret, shall we say, is the main draw for me. So anyways, yeah, brilliant show. Just underrated how great Skyler as a character is. She's amazing as the sort of, say, third main character after Jesse and Walt. But, doesn't really get much of the attention per se. I think she did get an Emmy award, which is well deserved, especially in that 4th and 5th seasons. She is just amazing, and playing that sort of character where it's such a difficult character to play, and she just pulls it off. I'm sure you've all seen the show, but yeah, it's a brilliant show. Just a great show, really. Yeah, it's gripping. You're sitting there and it flies by basically when you're watching it. So yeah, I really, really enjoy that show, and yeah, it's top notch. It's top notch. Yeah, so I guess we'll get into our next topic for the day. And I was thinking, we could do something interesting here about geography, maybe talk about something interesting. So I was thinking, I've seen some people like IBSCAT do top 50 European cities by population, and then top 50 American cities by population. I was thinking I could do something similar to that, maybe. I was thinking, what could I do? What could be interesting to do? I was thinking top 50 Irish cities. I was thinking, geez, I don't know much about any of these cities. And I was thinking, what could be easier would be the 32 counties of Ireland. Ireland, as you know, is a country where I live, and a little island. I suppose not that small. It's the 19th biggest population of any country. Is that correct? That can't be correct. In terms of area, it's 20th. And the population is 6.5 million. Obviously, you're factoring in the north. I'm going to be focused. Oh yeah, I'll focus on all the counties. So I'll just say a little word about each county as we go. As you know, there's 32 counties, and yeah, let's get cracking. I don't know. I'll go in alphabetical order. I just think that'll probably be the easiest way to do it. I just need to find the list of counties. This is ridiculous if I don't know them all off by heart. I'm guessing I know what's number 1. And after that, hey. Yes, counties of Ireland. Thank you, Wikipedia. You beast of a of a service. Anyways, so yeah, let's get right into it. Enough dilly dallying. And is Antrim, which I believe was the first county in Ireland, not the first. No, jeez, this is a mess. Anyways, Antrim. What do I know about Antrim? I know it's in the north of Ireland. It features the Giant's Causeway, I believe, which is a really cool formation of rocks which are in hexagonal shapes, which is a very popular tourist spot. It's also known for, I think, Game of Thrones was there, which is a really popular show, which the less said the better about the last season. In terms of population, it is the second biggest population of any county with 618,000, because I believe it features Belfast for the majority part. I think it does. And of course, Belfast is famous for the Titanic. It's a brilliant place. I went there with my school in 4th year, and yeah, it's a really, really modern, cool place, building wise, and there's a little ride on the inside. There's a science museum, I think that maybe borders it. And it's maybe not the best thing ever, but it's pretty cool. It's not a bad little place. Belfast as a city is a really interesting city. It's a lot of interesting past, but of course, in the present day, I feel like they've cleaned up their image really nicely. It's a really different than most Irish cities, I would say, but a good city. Anyways, moving on to the second county on our list, which is Armagh. Armagh is also in the north of Ireland. In terms of population, it ranks 11th with 174,000, so a pretty modestly sized county, just bordering on the Republic of Ireland, and so just near Louth. It's also where Down is, I believe, on the right side. And Armagh has, well, I don't know much about Armagh. I will. Oh, geez, that sounds like I'm saying something else. Not about your mum or something. But I'm trying to think of like places in Armagh, and honestly, nothing is coming to mind. So it's sort of one of those counties I just don't know too much about. Like, is there a big city there? Surely there's a big city there. Yeah, Lurgan and Portadown. Oh, Newry. Yes, I do know Newry. It's sort of a place where if you live in sort of the Louth area, it's kind of handy to nip up there and get food and stuff because it's kind of cheaper there. Things tend to be cheaper in the north, so I'm sure there's a lot of gun running, as it's called in the past, where people, transported guns up and down from the north to the south during the sort of terrorist phase in our country, shall we say. But yeah, I'm sure it's a nice place. I think I drove through there once. Got some cool little vistas, and it's a chill place. Anyways, on to number 3 on our list, Carlow. I know. The one reason I know Carlow is because it's near Wicklow. It's a very boring county. If I were to pick out like the top 5 boring counties, it probably would be in there. In terms of population, it ranks dead last, which I didn't know, with 56,000 people. I thought Leitrim was the lowest, but actually it's third lowest with 56,000, which is basically like a big town in Ireland. So yeah, there's really nothing in Carlow. It's a very sparsely populated place, mostly crops, mostly sort of agriculture, and no big like towns, whatever. I don't even know. I think Carlow might be the capital of Carlow. The one thing I do know about Carlow is that it has a sort of a further education / college. I don't know what you class it as, or university, called Carlow IT, and it's let's say a very party centric place to go. And a lot of parties go down there, and it sounds like fun, anyways. If you're not all about the education and you just want the crack. Number 4, Cavan. Cavan is, I would call it a Midlands / border county. It's a long county up near the north. The one thing I'd say about it is it's a very lakey county. I went there for scouts. I used to do scouts in the past, and I believe we went canoeing in one of the lakes. There's also, if I'm not mistaken, a place called Belturbet there that features Belturbet, which features a really, really nice castle. And I don't know what it's called, but I think the President of Ireland, because in the Republic, opened it recently for scouts and stuff. It used to be an old castle. I believe it's Cavan now. I could be wrong now. Just do a quick search on that. But yeah, I remember it being a really sort of kind of boring county, but this was a really nice spot in it. I could be wrong now. Could be completely wrong. Jeez, my mind is slow. It's slow enough. Yeah, Castle Sanderson in Cavan. Yeah, it's like it nearly looks more like an old manor house, but it does have turrets and stuff. And I think I remember just throwing coloured powder at random people for a while. I don't know why, but it was some reason. And also there was like, what do you call them? Catapults. We made catapults. So that was a bit of crack. So that was something we did there in Belturbet in Cavan, which is another one on our list. I don't know what number we're at. This will be number 5 is County Clare. County Clare is the 19th biggest population in terms of biggest population in terms of county, with 118,000 people. The main thing I know about Clare, is I believe, don't quote me on this, that Father Ted, which is an Irish show, a really good Irish show, was filmed majorly here in Cavan, or Clare even. Also Galway, I believe. The actual place is set off in, well, it's meant to be off the coast of Galway, but majority of it is actually not. And I believe the Father Ted house is in County Clare. It's in Killinboy, and you can go and you get tea, and it's basically the exterior shot that was shown on the show in the intro, but I don't believe it's actually the interior is the actual place where you where it shows. It's a really boring looking house, like a boring farmhouse, but it is iconic, funny enough. The entire exterior is very iconic, and it's called the Craggy Island Parochial House. So yeah, it's a ballin' place. My whole thing with Clare is it's got some really nice sort of vistas as well. The Cliffs of Moher, probably the most iconic natural landscape in the Republic of Ireland, and I really want to go there. It would be one of these places where I just want to have a look around and just visit. So yeah, it's a nice place. Number 7, I believe. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 6. Am I 6 or 7? 6. County Cork. This is known as the Rebel County. It apparently wanted to secede from the main part of Republic of Ireland for years, but it never transpired. You can see why. They do have a fairly big population, third in the country, with 542,000 people, which I suppose by country standards is quite small, but for a county in a country that is quite big. It's obviously known for the city of Cork, which has got mixed things about it. Never been there, kind of wanted to go, but people have said, it's not great. You might as well go to Kinsale, it'd be nicer. That's down by the sea, a bit classier, a bit nicer. So I've heard that about it. I also know that the famine ships departed from Cove, which is just a little port near the main city of Cork, and that was a thing that happened. And in the present day, it seems to be a kind of irrelevant county in the majority of Ireland, but it does have its strong history, sports, general culture there is quite unique. Right, number 7, County Donegal. I was looking at something recently about Donegal. Actually, by the way, the population is the 13th biggest in Ireland with 159,000. First of all, it's not part of Northern Ireland, even though it's more north than Northern Ireland, which is funny. It's sort of its own independent little thing. It's very cut off from the main part of Ireland, I would say. There's only one little road that connects the Republic to the north, to the Donegal even. Historically, it sort of had a big name because there was a family from there, maybe. Land of Connell. That's what it means in Irish. But in present day, it's a very sort of forgotten about poor county. It's actually, I looked at it recently there, and I was looking at income per county, and this was the lowest county for income in terms of what you make in a year. So it's a very sort of poor county. I'd say it would be an interesting county. It kind of gets mocked a bit. I know in America, I think in UK, I'd say Newcastle is sort of the butts of the jokes. In America, it would be Kansas or Alabama. I think this is Ireland's version, even Carlow, I suppose, as well. But Donegal is sort of it's an expression if something's really far away. You're gonna go to Donegal, do you know what I mean? It's kind of laughed at a bit. But yeah, I kind of feel for the people of Donegal. I suppose it's a very agricultural centric county. It's kind of in the past a little bit. There's not even that many. There's not even trains there, I believe. So it's sort of its own sort of isolated thing, and it's sort of also mad weather there. It gets real cold, real rainy. I kind of feel bad for people who live there, to be honest. But hey, look, exist. I think they're proud people. Respect. Right. Next county, Down. County Down. This is a fairly big county. I didn't even realize this, but it's actually the freaking 4th biggest county in Ireland with 531,000 people. I believe that might be the overspill from Belfast. It's sort of part of that Belfast area. If you see Down and Antrim share a spot where Belfast is in that port, even if you look up like the towns that Belfast or Down has, it features the eastern suburbs of Belfast. So I didn't realise it, but Belfast is split across 2 counties. Mainly County Antrim, but a bit of Down. There's also Lisburn and Newry, which I think we commented on as well. Newry is also a little bit split between counties. I don't know how they make these counties, but they seem to always be split. I know I have cousins living up here in Down, just across the border, and it seems to be a chill county, to be honest. It's just a sort of second county in Northern Ireland, in my opinion, to Antrim in terms of things. And yeah, I really don't know much else. I'd have to count on, Belfast or whatever. God, this is a tough one. But yeah, there's Down as a place. I think Hollywood is a place here. And I think Rory McIlroy, which is a famous golfer, he's from County Down, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, in terms of counties, it's not the most exciting county in the world. It's more known for its Belfast roots, or its Belfast city, and even at that, it's not even fully in Down. So it's sort of a weird one. It's like Kansas City, which I believe isn't in Kansas, if I'm correct in saying that. It's in Missouri mostly. There's only a tiny bit that's actually in Kansas. So it's one of those weird situations where it's sort of awkward. Yeah, it's Hollywood, which is like, it's not actual Hollywood, but I think it might have a sign that says Hollywood. Like taking the piss, like, this is not actually Hollywood, is it? Really? Maybe there isn't a sign. Maybe I'm making that up. But it does sound like one of those things I'd probably make up. Yeah, there's a little sign and it says Hollywood. A little white sign. So I don't know who did that, but fair play. It's funny out. I like it. The original Hollywood. Because it probably did come before the actual Hollywood. Knowing America, yourself. But yeah, Rory McIlroy is from Hollywood. And it's obviously, yeah. So next up, we are going to move on. Next county. And that is Dublin. This is an easy one. Dublin is the capital of Ireland. It's the biggest one by far. Like, I believe it's at least twice as big as the next county up. I don't know what the term is for that, but it's a big county anyways. It's got a population of 1.3 million as of 2016, so it's probably gone up to about 1.5 million. The sort of county is divided up into 4 different parts. There's the city centre. There is Dunleary right down, which is sort of near the south where Dunleary is, obviously. And the wealthy area in Dublin. Number 3 is Fingal, which is majority of the north side, going all the way up to Balbriggan, all the way down to Phoenix Park. And there's number 4, which is South Dublin, which is Tala, all those sort of new towns, which is sort of a poor area of Dublin, I would say. And yeah, it's an interesting place. Lots of good, lots of bad, lots of famous things. You could go on and on about Dublin. I got a college here in the middle of Dublin, and I find the DART system that goes from the South Dublin up along the coast is quite good. There's also, a Lewis system, which is like a tram system. The train system is a DART, and there's a Lewis system, which is a tram, which is also used. And in general, it's quite good, but it can be dodgy, especially you go into the wrong parts of Dublin. Dublin's got a lot of dodgy spots, and probably more dodgy spots than good spots, in my opinion. But it does add to the charm a little bit that there's sort of a attitude in Dublin, like, kind of, it makes the nice spots better when you got these little rough spots as well. So it's such a big place. You're going to have all sorts of life. You sort of expect it, really. And yeah, I really like Dublin. A lot of people sort of look down on Dublin, or, oh, it's such a ugly city or whatever. I don't really get that. I think it's a nice city. I think there's a lot of bad areas, sure, but a lot of good areas as well. Phoenix Park is lovely. The coastline is gorgeous. Killiney, for example, is a great spot. And you can see Dublin, but you can see the Wicklow Mountains in the background, which is amazing as well. And also Liffey can be nice. It's sometimes ugly, but it can be nice. And there's also lots of historical spots in Dublin. So Dublin is ultimately, it's got everything in it. It's got everything you want. You just need to find the right spot for you. And there you go. But it is also an expensive place to live. So it's worth it. I'd say worth living here, just in terms of job opportunities. But you will have to work your arse off to live here. So yeah, that's that. Next up, we have county. We could go through Dún Laoghaire, Fingal and South. I kind of did mention them a little bit. But in terms of population, before we move on, Dublin City is by far the biggest with 554,000 people. Next up, we have Fingal, which has 296,000 people. Then we have South Dublin, which has 278,000 people. Which a lot of people, moved out of the main city to live in towns. And then we have Dún Laoghaire Rathdown, which is 218,000 people. Right, so Fermanagh is the next county on our list. It is the 28th biggest county in Ireland. Not very big, 61,000 people. Very rural. It's in the north of Ireland, weirdly enough. It doesn't feel like a Northern Ireland county for some reason, because it's quite close to south. It's got a huge sort of two lakes which stretch through it. And besides that, it's I would say a very chill county. It's not well talked about. It's not a big sort of it doesn't have big cities. Like the biggest one is Enniskillen, which is quite small. It's got a nice castle. That's about it. It's a very low key county. It's probably the least talked about county I could think of, to be honest, off the top of my head. There's just not a lot going on, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. It does its own thing. It's quiet. It's quietly confident in a way. I remember my scout group went, for some reason we like going to these areas, but they went here, I think, and they have a strong accent here, I believe. So I remember that, and possible sort of connections to the north, I guess. But I don't know. I think Oscar Wilde was educated here, so that's an interesting fact I just learned right there. And yeah, that's a bit. I'm not going to go on about Fermanagh. I don't know much about it. I don't want to go on about it and say things are wrong, incorrect. So I'll just leave it at that. Next up, we have Galway. It's Galway. I mean, what more can be said? This is like the crown jewel of Irish counties. I would say it is probably the best county in Ireland. It's the most popular county. If you ask the average Irish person, I'd say this will be their answer, best county. From a tourism perspective, it'd probably be the second biggest, most popular county, obviously after Dublin. And just brilliant county, to be honest. It's got everything going for it. Well, apart from the weather. I think the weather is a bit dodgy there, but everything apart from the weather, it has great people, great tourist attractions, and an overall vibe about the place, which is quite enjoyable. I remember I went here with my mates for a 6-year holiday, which is the thing you do in Ireland, when you're done secondary school. And yeah, it was just a really fun. And I always remember, people there were nice. They were just having the crack. There was an old Irish pub we went to. We went to a few clubs as well, but I remember the pub specifically. It was such an Irish thing, just Irish music. Place was crowded out, middle of summer. What more can you want? You can walk around in your t-shirt, really. Lovely little park in Galway. I don't know what it's called. Ayr Square, I believe. It's just Stripeside where we were living as well. It was such an easy walk over there. And also, it's got the Burren. I've been to Galway at least 3 or 4 times from trips. It's just a popular spot to go to. It's sort of the centre of the Irish culture, the Irish language and all. There's a place called the Gaeltacht here, which is really they're kind of an area where it's sort of encouraged to speak Irish. Well, actually, people do generally speak Irish there. It's kind of jarring because obviously Ireland is a majority English speaking country. The population here is the 5th biggest in Ireland, but it's quite a drop off from number 4. As you remember, was down. It's only got 258,000 people, majority being in the city. But as a city, it's quite a very, very small city. The actual city, 79,000 people, but that's what, maybe twice the size of Bray. It's barely a city in my opinion, but that's kind of the feel. Is it's more of a
town feel to it. So you could walk around the city in like a few minutes. It's a small little town square that leads into Eyre Square. It's one big shopping street off Eyre Square. It's a nice little shopping street as well, and there's also Spanish Arch, which I never went to, but I think that's probably near enough. And there's also a place called where people go swimming near there. So yeah, it's got a lot in the city. But anyways, that's that. We are going to move on because we gushed about Galway for too long. And actually, you know what? This next county could arguably be also Ireland's best county, and it's quite near Galway. It is County Kerry. I went to Kerry when I was younger, and it was one of the best trips I ever went on. Went surfing, went swimming. The beaches in Kerry, I know Clare is obviously renowned for its beaches. Kerry is close by. It's probably the second best beaches. Maybe Wexford, throw that in there. We'll talk about Wexford later on. Kerry has some of the nicest scenery in Ireland, I would say. Very mountainous. I went to a place called Dingle, which is an isolated little island, very popular island. A headland, peninsula, but it's surrounded by mountains. And in order to get there, you have to go like through this little mountain pass, and that like journey is incredible. So it's just a really nice county. It's very strong, culture over there. A lot of tourists going around, but at the same time, they still maintain that sort of strong accents and beliefs and whatever. So it's a great county. It's in terms of population, it's the 15th, so middle of the road, 147,000 people, which is surprising because it's only the 15th biggest county in terms of population, but its sporting achievements are amazing. I think believe it's the number one county in terms of Ireland wins for GAA, Gaelic football. If you don't know what that is, research it. And just ahead of Dublin, when Dublin obviously is probably going through a long spell of dominance here, will probably overtake Kerry fairly quickly. Like, I don't see Kerry ever competing with Dublin at the rate they used to at the time, because, well, they have 37, Dublin have 30. They probably will eventually catch up with Kerry. It's just inevitable. Dublin have this population growing steadily. Kerry, it doesn't have that. Tralee is a big place there. Kind of got a dodgy name to it, actually. It's a small county, though, a small town, 23,000 people. But yeah, it's a thing. And there's also Fungi the dolphin, who roams around there apparently in the sea. Apparently there's many of him. And I just remember looking out for him when I was there. That was a thing. That was a thing that happened. So yeah, I rate Kerry a good bit. Right. Next up on my list. What is next? Hold on, boys. Kildare. Right. This is an interesting one because Kildare is quite near Dublin, so it's sort of the sphere of influence, would you like, of Dublin. It's probably the most Dublin-like county that isn't Dublin, I would say, along with Wicklow, which is where I'm from. Its population is 7th, with 222,000 people, which, for a county that's not Dublin, is quite a lot. And I didn't think it was that many people until I realised it's actually in that Dublin area where it's actually so connected with Dublin. There's a lot of commuters moving there, and that has meant that the population has skyrocketed since whatever, the last 50 years. Naas is the capital, and it's quite near Dublin. It's on the train line, like it's only a couple stops away from the middle of Dublin, and it's a really handy place to live. I can imagine it's a nice spot. I went to Kildare a few times, and a real flat spot, but it's a full of interesting places. Like, it's quite I think it was when the English came over, it was a very big spot for like manors and houses and that sort of thing, full up with those type of places. Like, so it's got some really nice architecture, some lovely houses, and just some generally wealthy place to live, So I really like Kildare. I think it's a chill county, but I could picture going there in the summer and just chilling. Next up on our list, we have Kilkenny. Kilkenny is the hurling county of Ireland. Hurling is another sport like Gaelic football. Do your research, and it's just by far the best hurling team in Ireland because it doesn't really play the other sport, which is Gaelic football. It like focuses completely on hurling. It's won the All Ireland 36 times, so that's one less than Kerry. It's at the same level Kerry in terms of sport. Like, it's crazy good. Kilkenny has a beer as well. It's funny, that's the only thing I know about Kilkenny. Called Kilkenny beer, I believe, which I've never had. I don't want to try it. It's apparently meant to be like Guinness, but it sounds like it's popular enough. It's pretty nice. And population in Kilkenny is 99,000, which is 21st. I would have thought it had more, but I guess it's quite a small area county. The cities in Kilkenny, there are, I believe, it's the biggest. There's the biggest city. There's actually no like cities in Kilkenny. It's more just sort of little towns and stuff, you know. And so it's got that rural charm to it that I think a lot of places in Ireland have, you know. And it's kind of, for me, a bit boring, but I guess for certain people that's sort of quaint and charming, you know. Because I see it a lot, so it's kind of, you know, it is what it is. Next up we have County Laois. County Laois, another one of those counties like Carlow, actually near Carlow, that has just nothing going for it really. It's the 23rd, sorry, not the 23rd, the 23rd biggest county in terms of population and area, which is funny enough. 84,000 people live here. It's a really oddly shaped county. I don't know why. It's like just a little blob in the middle of Ireland. Just a little blob. And yeah, it's a really weird one. Yeah, it's just an odd county. There's a place called Emo there, which for some reason makes me laugh. Emo, like, you know, emos. I don't know. I thought that was really funny. And that's it. No, seriously though, it's one of the most boring counties in Ireland, if not. It's got a road called the M7 which goes through it. I believe Portlaoise is a place there, which, fun fact, features Portlaoise Prison, which is where they, I believe, used to, or still do, keep IRA prisoners, which are like terrorists in Ireland, I want to say. I could be very wrong, but it's a very big prison if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a maximum security prison, and it's huge. It's really big. It's really well, maintained and stuff like that, and secure prison. Like, it's not a simple little jail cell. It's a proper maximum security sort of outfit, and I really want to say the prison was built in the 1830s, making it still operating today, which is a prison which people convicted of membership of the IRA and of other illegal paramilitary and designated terrorist organizations are usually detained. So it's a terrorist prison. It's quite a small population, only 339 people here, but it's for the dangerous people that they can't leave anywhere else. So it's a scary spot, I suppose. And I suppose, in a local county like Laois, you can get away with having something like Portlaoise Prison, I suppose. So for me, that kind of takes away from its charm, or I guess, if it had any to begin with. So I wouldn't be the type of person who want to go to Laois, but it would be the type of place you'd have to go through to get somewhere else, I believe. It's a midland spot. It's in the way of everything else, shall we say. And number whatever is Leitrim. Leitrim is right near the border. It is Ireland's least populated county. Guess what? It's 32nd ranked with 32,000 people in this county. I mean, it really doesn't even really qualify as a county. It's so small. Like, it's the population of Greystones, I think, in the whole county. Like, it's such a sparsely populated county. It's kind of crazy. Like, no one lives here. It's mad. I like to go here just to experience the peace and quiet, because there's literally no one here. All I know is there's a place called Carrick-on-Shannon, which is on the Shannon, which is a big river. I believe that's I could be wrong now. It's in Leitrim and County Roscommon. It crosses the border. So the Shannon that sort of drifts through, Leitrim, Roscommon, goes down and then it meets the river around Clare and Limerick. It's a really beautiful looking county. Like, I'm looking at pictures of it now. It's really, what's the word? It's nice. It's really nice, but it's mad how low the population is. I'm just looking at the stats and of the population or whatever. And during the 1800s, it had a population of 155,000 at its peak in 1841. And of course, what happened years after that was the famine in 1846. So the population just dropped off a cliff after that. It's really sad to see that. So a place that was once so sort of populated, right, I guess, it's just gone. I guess a lot of people seek jobs or whatever. That area of Ireland is very depressing because there's not much going on there, and you feel for the people there. They're just trying to do their thing, and they can't really. They can't. Right. Next up on the list is County Limerick. County Limerick, I just mentioned, is known for the city of Limerick City, which is nickname of Stab City due to the issues that may occur there, shall we say, in terms of crime. But I guess maybe that's not the whole story. Not everyone's going around killing each other. That's one thing. It's ranked 9th in terms of population, 194,000 people. And yeah, I know there might be a college there in Limerick. I know that's the heart of Munster rugby, I believe, which is Thomond's. I want to say Thomond Park is in Limerick City, which is a really nice stadium. It's one of the best ones in Ireland, I believe. Yes, it's in Limerick indeed. And so yeah, it's a really nice stadium from a really popular team back in the day. Munster were amazing back in the start of the 2000s. They were on top of the world, and they won the European Championship twice with Road Nagara. So it's it's an odd but nice stadium in my opinion. And when you're looking at it, it's like it doesn't get old. It's got that curve. That's just iconic, to be honest. For Munster, it's a really well supported, really popular team. So yeah, it's a great stadium. It's a great place, and Limerick City is okay. I wouldn't say there's much going on with the city. It doesn't have any big name. It's not too beautiful, but it does have some nice architecture in it. But yeah, like if you look at it, it kind of looks like Dublin on the main thoroughfare, the main street. But it's not amazing, let's say. So I think I'm gonna move on. Big up Limerick, anyways. If you want to go there, go there. It's not on my list, but the next one, God, I hate you, Wikipedia. On Wikipedia is known. This is Derry. This is the county of Derry. On Wikipedia, it's called Londonderry. It's Derry. Population 6th with 247,000 people. There's just a TV show called Derry Girls, which is focused on the region. It's actually brought a lot of attention to Derry. Before, Derry was sort of the place where sort of terrorism happens. It's a very Catholic place, so in Northern Ireland you can see what the problem is there. It's just got a TV show called Derry Girls, which is, I watched a bit of it. It's quite good. Like it's actually a pretty good TV show. But yeah, it's a funny TV show. Sort of, having a go at it. Yeah, it's a weird one. So, I remember Derry in the past was exclusively a Protestant town, but it's become very Catholic. So, I guess there you go. It's a funny one at that, because there's a lot of interesting, shall we say, feelings about that. But we'll see. The city actually crosses over the river. There, I don't know what the river's called, but it's on the tip of my tongue. So it's weird because the river kind of marks the border up to that point, but where it gets to Derry, it goes boom, just circles around it, so it just goes in Donegal's land. So I think that's funny looking. But yeah, I've actually seen pictures of Derry, and it looks quite nice. It looks really nice. There's also a few beaches there. Derry City has a football team as well. So I know the footballer James McLean, I believe, used to play for them, and it has a big river. I think it's a big bridge even called the Peace Bridge. Yeah, it's a fairly like small town, but it does have a nice little bridge going through it, so that's cool. That's nice. Right, rightio. Next up on our list, it's not Londonderry, by the way. It's Derry. I'm not gonna get political, but come on, lads, it's Derry. Next up we have Longford, which is also sort of in the middle of Ireland. It's also a very small county, really, really small county. I always get confused with this one because it looks like it should be Cavan, because Cavan is long in terms of like how it looks, but Longford is actually not very long at all. It's quite a short county, quite stubby county. So I don't know where the name came from. I really don't. And the population is 40,000, which is the second smallest county in Ireland in terms of population. A lot of just, what's the word? A lot of just little fields and little quaint little spots. I wouldn't imagine you'd be too excited living in Longford. Little village there, little town. But God, you'd be bored out of your mind in Longford. There are some nice cliffs I'm just looking at right now, which look amazing. Longford's not inland, is it? Maybe that's the river or the lake or something that borders it. I know a person who plays for Longford FC. There you go. There's something you didn't know. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. It's a very weird, possibly bad looking county in terms of the town, but the rural areas are nice. The rural areas look decent. I will say that. Yeah, so it's not one I have a lot to say about, so I'm going to move on from County Longford, which is next up on our list, which is County Louth. My mum is from County Louth. It is right beside the north, so it's known for its sort of gun running past, which I've talked about. The 18th biggest county with 128,000 people. It has a city in it called Dundalk, which is a fairly big city. A bit of football success in the past, in recent years. Sorry, I feel like my nose is kind of blocked up doing this, but yeah, it is. And I'm trying to see what else to think about Dundalk. Yeah, there's a place in Dundalk called the Killing Fields for some reason, which doesn't sound great. I went there once and I was like, right, am I gonna die here? But I think it's actually a movie that was filmed there, I believe. No, it's an American movie, but it gained the nickname, and I think it's hilarious, to be honest. I really do. It's a local nickname. It's not famous. It's not really well known, but yeah, it's a funny old name, and it's a weird city, really weird city, because it's nice spots in it, but it's also just odd looking. It's like the north in terms of like architecture and stuff, but it's in the south. And yeah, it's obviously probably more heavily influenced by the north than the south, just due to its proximity to the north of Ireland. So it's a weird place to live. It's got an excellent cathedral in the middle. I've actually driven by it many times, so I will say it's got a bad name, but it's an interesting looking place, to be honest. Right, next up on the list. God, I don't know what's going on over me. I had my swim this morning, and my nose, my sinus has not been the same since. This is a really long episode, by the way, people. Sorry about that. Next up, we have Mayo. Mayo is in the west, as it's called, of Ireland. It's kind of similar to Galway. I know a TV show that was filmed predominantly here, I believe, and it's called Hardy Books, which is a really good Irish TV show. I'd say check it out, to be honest. It's great crack. It's literally about these lads who are just, they've nothing going on. They live in the west of Ireland. There's nothing going on. There's no jobs, and they're just trying to get by and have the crack, have the drink or whatever, go on the odd holiday, and it just sounds like the life. Just young lads, having a bit of crack, filming it, and it's literally the thing I love about it is it's actually their own lives, and they just chose the best bits and they just filmed it, and they said, "Here, look, we'll make a TV show out of this. Why not?" And it's probably the most like Irish-esque TV show, along with Father Ted. They're very, very good shows, and I rate them. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Mayo's Eyes County, really lovely looking county. Croagh Patrick is here, which is an old pilgrimage site for like Catholics who would climb this huge mountain, very big mountain, and there'll be a little shrine at the top for St. Patrick. So around Easter, or actually, what time of year is it? Pilgrimage, sorry, it's in July, last Sunday, July. You actually climb up thing. Sometimes you do it barefoot, which is insane. I'd love to go up this mountain, but I don't think I'd be that committed to it. Also, it's packed, so I don't know if they do it this time of year or these years with the COVID these days. But it's got a class view because you can see all the way along the bay. If you go to the very top of it, if I just find a picture of it here, it's a really just scenic spot, and yeah, it's a beautiful spot, to be honest. It's got a little church at the top. The amount of people that climb this thing is insane. I'm surprised there's that many people climbing it, but yeah, there is. There's islands around the side. It's great. I think it takes about an hour and a half to climb. So you're talking about like a 3-hour round trip up and down this thing, and it's just kind of like a testament to Ireland's sort of holiness, its culture, its religion. There you go. Rightio. Let's move on to. We've a lot of counties to get to. We might spin through a few here. County Meath. County Meath used to be the historical point of Ireland. It's the royal county. I think the King of Ireland used to live here. Like, we're talking about hundreds of years ago, if not thousands. And it's a very agricultural county. It has a place called. Well, it's famous for its, firstly, Kells. Book of Kells came from here, which is in Dublin now. And it's got such a pagan past to it, because I believe before Christianity came into its being, this was sort of the main religion in Ireland. It's got this weird, what's it called, this weird underground spot where you can see the sunlight coming in. That's gotta be in Meath, right? I don't know. God, I'm kind of slow with this sort of stuff, but surely this will show up on the Wikipedia page. And come on, yeah, but it's sort of like that really ancient past. I think of Meath. It's sort of the historically ancient city of Ireland, and I really like it for that. It's got its own that's sort of its identity, really. And I believe there's a castle here, Slane Castle, where a lot of big concerts were at. I really wanted to go here, but obviously I was too young to remember most of the concerts that occurred there. But I swear to God, my parents were going on about it, mad stuff. All the concerts that occurred here. I think Queen were there. I think Bruce Springsteen was there. It's called the Slane Festival, and it went on, years in the past. Let's see, they had U2 there, then Lizzie, Rolling Stones. Who else was there? Queen, as I said, Aslan. David Bowie was there, which is amazing. Neil Young. More recently, there hasn't been too much occurring there. I think they had Ghost, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, all these historical bands that people really like. I feel like that's the sort of what they're appealing to, really. Obviously, unfortunately, recently, we can't see much happening there, but in the future we'll see more Slane Castle concerts. So next up we have Monaghan. I know some from Monaghan. It's a very funny accent. It's not quite the north, not quite the south. it's just a quaint little place. I'd use the word quaint for this county. In terms of population, it is 28th with 61,000 people. So it's a real small population. And I know they like their sports. They like their Gaelic football. And wow, Monaghan is boring. It's a boring place. There's nothing happening here. There's nothing happening. The largest town in Monaghan is got 7,000 people, which is a town of Monaghan itself. It's so rural. I know this lad I knew, he worked at a farm as well. That's the crack anyways. It's sort of agriculture, which is a large part of Ireland's past, is sort of practiced here a good bit. And it's very farmy with fields and fields and fields for days. It's like just proper boring. I'd use that my generic Ireland sort of, oh, this is Ireland. This is basically what Ireland looks like with loads of cows and shit like that. That's it. You know, there's not like those big mountains or rivers or lakes or whatever or forests. It's just loads of fields. Here's all the fields. So yeah, that's Monaghan for you. Next up, Offaly, another boring middle of the road county. It sort of has a weird shape to it as well. It looks like a N or something. Population is 77,000 people. Right. It's quite a boring county. Jesus. Birr is here, which I believe is the middle of Ireland. Birr sounds like you're freezing your arse off. Oh god. Tullamore Dew is from here. Dew. That's a famous whiskey. That is a famous whiskey. You can have a look at it. You can go here. Ooh, look at this cool whiskey. Shane Lowry is from here. He won the Open Championship in 2019. He's a cool lad. He's an alright golfer. He's a fairly good golfer. So yeah, I believe the capital would be, God, yeah, probably Tullamore. Would it be Tullamore? It would have to be Tullamore, right? Anyways, Offaly is famous for the Slieve Bloom Mountains, which are a bunch of mountains in Offaly. God, I'm such a good tourist guide. But honestly, it's one of these counties that you can hit or miss. It's just so far removed from anything exciting. It's got nothing going for it. That's why they're so good at sports. I always feel like those counties are like good at sports. There's nothing else in the place to do, so you're just like, oh fuck, might as well do a few sports, you know? So that's what they do. That's what they fucking do. And you're like, okay, respect that, man, respect. So that's it. Offaly, well done for being so boring. You have nothing going for you. You are shit. Not shit, but you're not good. Roscommon. They're called the Rossies here. This is a county which is neither west nor east. Midlands as well, I would say. It's very landlocked. I'm not really a big fan of the landlocked counties myself. It is near the river, the Shannon, the River Shannon, which is good. That's the good thing going for it. And at least it has, you know, Carrick-on-Shannon. That's a place. In terms of population, it is 27th, 64,000 people. So it's similar to Leitrim, like a bigger, more populated version of Leitrim is what I would say. You know. Also, I like the name Roscommon for some reason. It's quite a cool name. Don't know why. It's got some castles as well. There's a lot of. So basically, there was a sort of series of not takeovers, but conquests in Ireland, and a lot of people came in and out. And I think the Normans built a lot of castles in Ireland. It's probably one of the most interesting things about Ireland is the sort of different areas of buildings, and you know, there's the Georgians from England, there's the Normans from wherever the fuck they were from, France, there's the Vikings and shit like that, and there's a lot of Norman influence in this region, surprisingly, as it's so west in Ireland. So I guess you get quite of a westy vibe of this place, but overall it's very boring. The sites, there are nice sites here, but they're just, would you say they're better than other places in Ireland? Probably not. Right, next up we have County Sligo. Sligoch, as it's also called. So, This population is also really small, 26th with 65,000 people. I believe in Hardy Books I mentioned, the Sligo Boys. The Lake Isles of Innisfree, which is a famous one by Walter W.B. Yeats, wrote about this area. Very, what's the word? Picturesque and lovely. It's right by the sea, so it has a little bit of coastline as well, which is nice. I love counties that are by the sea because there's just something good about them. You have beaches, you have cliffs, which are my two favorite things ever. So that's always a bonus, really. There's also, Ben Bulben, which I believe is a big, weird shaped mountain. So I love Sligo. It's actually got a load going for it. Surfing, you can go for the cliffs, the mountains. This is such a weird shaped mountain, though. It's got like a triangular shape to it. Like I don't know what it's like. Just weird. It's very weird and odd looking. Very odd. Very, very odd. But Sligo is also one of those counties I really want to go to for that reason. Maybe I'll buy a car and just drive around this area, go up and down and sing Lake Isles of Innisfree or something like that. That could be a fun thing to do. Right, let's move on. Next up we have Tipperary. This is a major county now. This is when you think of like sort of not Dublin or Kerry, but like the next tier down. This is like the next tier down of counties. Obviously it's got a good hurling culture to it. Its population is 12th with 159,000 people. It's big. It's a very big county. It got split into two as well. It's in terms of area, it would be like top 3, I think, with Cork and Kerry, and also Donegal. Yeah, it's big. It's fairly vast. It's also inland, which is not good. Do not like that. But it does have mountains, the Galtee Mountains, which are really nice. They're really nice mountains. So just based off the mountains, I probably would maybe chance a visit here, because I like those old mountains. I do. It also has the Rock of Cashel, which is a formation that occurred here. Rock of Cashel, or is the Rock of Cashel the castle? Okay, it's a huge castle. Like, it is mad looking. It's also sort of on its own, which is cool. I rate that. I rate the way it's like not beside the city. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's sort of built up on a hill. It's got loads of rock formations around it, and then the main castle itself. So if I were to think of like a Knights movie or something, I'd probably be thinking of this. It's really cool. It's a really cool castle. So I rate it. Before I didn't really rate Tipperary, but after seeing that castle, I'll tell you now, it's one of those places I want to go to. Right, next up we have Tyrone. Tyrone is also a funny accent. It's in the north. I remember hearing people from Tyrone, and I was thinking, oh, your funny ass accent. It's a big county. Area wise, it's the 8th biggest. Population wise, it's 10th with 177,000 people. Omagh is here. Omagh, which is host to a bombing occurred here. A car bomb, which I believe 29 people were killed in 1998. So that's serious. That's really serious. That's a big incident. And I guess that's kind of stained its past ever since, It's sad to see stuff like that happen, and kind of disgusting, but the IRA have had a bad name ever since. They've obviously always had a bad name, but this was just a nail in the coffin for the IRA. It was like, we need to get peace in Northern Ireland, we need that now, because shit like this cannot happen anymore. And I believe that birthed the Good Friday Agreement, I want to say, which has sort of spurned about the peace wall in Belfast. It was 1998, so it was right around the same time. It was maybe it was just after. Yeah, it was actually just after. So that's kind of fucked that they did. Oh look, we're gonna get peace, and then same year, Good Friday Agreement. Yeah, it wasn't effective till 1999. But still, it's sick. It's really sick. This is only, just before I was born, this happened. So it's still very fresh in a lot of people's minds, this whole thing, There's also a picture of the random people there, just before the bombing took place, who actually, I think, survived the bombing, weirdly enough. It's actually really sad, to be honest. It's very sad. It's still, obviously, memorialized ever since that incident. yeah, it's just so sad. Why? Honestly, why did this happen? Like, never mind this occurring, 100, 200 years ago. This happened really, really recently. Anyways, that's that. Let's move on. Waterford, that was depressing, by the way. Sorry, Tyrone. Waterford has a population of 20th of 116,000 people. It's also got the area ranked 20th in the country. It's a coastal county, yes, we love those. And it has a lovely, lovely stretch of coastline. I know somebody lives here. It's beautiful, beautiful beaches. Really nice city, I believe. It's also known for its crystal, which is glass, which is really nice. And it's just a city I really want to go to for some reason. I just like the look of it. It's near it's near Mice where I live, so it seems like a place you go to in the summer as well because it's just beaches, weather, etc. And a lot of people from Dublin do come down here. I like Wexford, which I'll get to. Also, its name comes from Viking roots. So the ford, I believe, is from fjord, which means waterway. And of course, the Vikings came in and they saw, ooh, look at this. You have a fjord, river, so ford. So that's the anglicized version of that. So water, obviously being water, it's very self-explanatory. So water is basically the main thing here, and glass. That's it. Water, glass. Right. Moving on. Westmeath. Westmeath is another Midlands county. It's west of Meath, obviously, for obvious reasons, and it's the home to Mullingar. The population is 22,000, with 88,000 people here. And Westmeath is Mullingar is. It's a village, really. It's not that big, like it ain't that big. But I guess it's the only notable thing in Westmeath because Westmeath is not that known. I believe. Get this right here. Enda Kenny might be from Mullingar. He's from Castlebar. Jeez, I fucked that one up. Which is in Mayo. Okay, I fucked that one up. Mullingar and Castlebar sound similar to me. Yup. Right. So, Westmeath. Yeah, Mullingar. It's a real Irish sounding name to it. Mullingar. Just sounds funny. Yes, Niall Horan is from Mullingar, I believe. Yeah, he's from One Direction. It's not a great county when Niall Horan is the most famous thing about your fucking county. It's crazy. So yeah, that's that. Sorry, Westmeath, you are so boring. Next up, we have Wexford, the penultimate county, also coming from that sort of Norse name, which is fjord, which means obviously fjord. So, God, I want to know what that means in English, to be honest. Meaning. How about that? Mudflats. Inlet, fjord, mudflats. So that's the two connection. Ways fjord. So it's like there's mudflats and there's inlets. It's a really stupid meaning because when I think of Wexford, I think of the beaches. I think of the beaches. There's a lot of them here. They're also quite good at Gaelic football. In terms of population, they are 14 to 149,000 people. It's not too bad. And yeah, a lot of beaches. A lot of people from Dublin come down here for the summer. I went here a good few times now. And yeah, I really enjoy it. It's always seems to be nice and sunny when I go there, to be honest. Usually because I go in the summer. But still, I just think of summer when I think of this place. I really do. It's also Ireland's most southerly county, I believe, due to the shape of Ireland being. I think maybe Kerry, arguably, is more southerly. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's got a town, got some questionable towns, but the beaches are just beautiful. They are really, really beautiful place. So, I highly recommend you go visit here. Do I think it goes to the west? No, but the weather will be slightly better, so you might be favoured by that because you're not going to be hit by as much rain. So therefore, in due to that, I'd say it's probably the nicest county for weather. Yeah, if you look at the beaches here, like really nice, like nearly French level beaches here. Like we're talking California, like it was a bit warmer, and a few little cliffs as well. So go to Wexford. You will not regret it. Finally, I'm going to look at my own county, where I live, Kilvanton, Wicklow. And I really want to know what that means in English. Wicklow. It's also from Viking. And I like the name of it, Wicklow. It's just interesting. It's individual, its own thing. It's not like the other counties, you know? The actual Kilvanton, which means Church of the Toothless One, which is funny story in itself. I won't get into, but the Wicklow part is Wicklow. Wicklow. It's from a Viking word which means meadow of the Vikings. That sounds class. I'm not a Viking, but I live here. Wick means Vic, Viking. Population, it's 16 to 142,000 people. There is a lot of there's two big towns in Wicklow, and they are Bray and Greystones, right in the north of them. So it's a very Dublin-centric county, because if you're from Bray and Greystones, you probably work in Dublin. A lot of commuters coming in and out. I live in Greystones. It's a great place. I'll get into Greystones another time. But yeah, it's just a very beautiful county. If I were to sum up the best thing about Wicklow, though, there's some nice little beaches here. There's also, I believe, there is a place called Bris Bay, which I believe is in Wicklow, and that's just a nice spot to go for a swim, go for a dip in Wicklow. And Bray is a big town, but Greystones isn't too far behind. They're two kind of competing towns. Bray is a bit more, let's say, working class, a bit more sort of a bit tougher, a bit dodgier. Greystones is a bit nicer, probably a little bit safer, but they're both, known for a lot of things, and they probably make up about half the population of the whole place. So I will say the Wicklow Mountains are great. There's Glendalough, which I've been to loads of times. I've been around a lot of Wicklow, obviously a good bit, due to me, being from here. And Wicklow Mountains never get old. Go hiking there like at least, I've gone there at least 20-30 times, I'd never get old. Camped out there, big rivers, big lakes. So isolated as well. The whole county, like half the county is just taken up by these mountains. No other like land in sight. So it's sort of very isolated, but very beautiful. And I don't think there's any other county that has that so much isolation in one place. So really like Wicklow, really like this spot. And that's my list, done and dusted. So there you go. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Wicklow from that. And yeah, pretty much done with the podcast. I'm trying to think of any other topics to bring up. But yeah, Ireland's a great place. It's got some great things going for it. And you should come visit. And I can't wait for this travel restrictions to be lifted so I can have a bit look and a bit more. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I think that'll be it for the podcast. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. It's a Friday. Go on. And I'll talk to you all later. Good luck.